video, you will talk about, or we will talk about, the important news of this week and how it relates to what's going to happen next week for Crypto Week. We also have Bitcoin breaking out massively. Now, was that move expected? Of course not. Absolutely not. So what does Bitcoin do after a huge unexpected breakout? Now, when you go back to Crypto Week, what can happen? Let's review. There is currently a scandal going on in Washington. Let's put it that way. This scandal is not going away. Now, what they need from the scandal is a distraction. And that's coming with Crypto Week. So on the known slate is the Genius Act, okay, for stablecoins, the Clarity Act, which means crypto won't be able to be, sued into oblivion the way it was under Gary Gensler. In other words, it's a congressional proclamation that crypto's legal. Thanks, guys. All right. And then there's the Anti-CBDC Act, where they say, well, we're not going to have a CBDC in America. And that's okay. They don't need one. They have USDC, because if they want to watch what you're doing, they can do it. And we all know that. Now, that's what we know. Now, what we don't know is what the administration or private sector entities are going to do. They're going to make a big announcement, mergers. Is the orange man going to justify the tariffs by saying all the money that we make goes into the sovereign wealth fund or the Bitcoin strategic reserve? Now I know that's a solid cup of summer Kool-Aid, but pumping the American-made cryptos is going to happen next week. Now, if you want to know what the top cryptos are for the American-made alt-season rally, you're in the right place. Stay right here. Now, on a more serious note, the guy who developed Tornado Cash, that is a privacy platform, all right? And ironically, a privacy platform that I like called Antivirus, AINTI, just came out with their Solana and ETH mixer, which is cool because basically it allows you to keep your position quiet. You don't have to announce to the whole world what your position is. Now, on the heels of that, though, they're trying this guy in New York, and a former SEC big shot is the prosecutor. So we're definitely going to be keeping an eye on that as Uncle Sam tries to make crypto great again. They got to make something great again. And one other reason is because Jerome Powell is in a lot of trouble. Speaking of this diversion from this scandal, everybody is like, how much longer is Jerome Powell going to last? And the reason you want to stay tuned is to know what that means if he quits. What does it mean if he walks away or he's forced out? Either way, right? In other words, a lot of people think it's turmoil for legacy, but what does it mean for crypto? Okay, let's get into altcoins, right? What are the big altcoins for Crypto Week? They're listed under the ISO20022 platform. Basically, it's a group of altcoins that banks are required to utilize as a way to make payments faster. That's a simplification, but XRP, Algorand, Hedera, Cardano, and Stellar, which was up 25% yesterday and is up another 8% today, right? Those are the key. And there's also XDC and IOTA. Now, these coins have been outperforming. XRP was up 10%. FOMO is starting to come back into the market, but there still are a lot of coins. Like, here's another one. There's DePin. There's Akash, which, we've been looking at in our Patreon group and in our YouTube member area, right? The YouTube member area, Toby got Stellar 2 days before it went up 25%. Make sure you check that out in the links down below or in the description, right? Toby, Made in America cryptos, they must have a distraction. They must. And if they don't get a win out of crypto week, well, then I guess they're tired of losing or they like losing, right? So we're going to continue on with some very important Gann timing events. For Gann, timing was everything. Who's Gann? A guy who was a technical analyst back, in the early 20th century. He used lots of things, the Bible, planetary movements to try to figure out what was going to happen next. So recently you've had a tremendous amount of volatility because a huge market planet called Uranus, kind of changed its position in the sky, igniting volatility, which honestly is the primary non-BlackRock reason why Bitcoin suddenly rammed itself higher, where only the hodlers really made money. A lot of people who were just trading or holding and figuring out what they had to do were like, okay, well, we can do this later, or we can do it slowly, or I can hedge. No, guess not. Okay, that's one of the big story of this week is that Bitcoin, not just that Bitcoin went to 118, but that Bitcoin went to 118 out of nowhere, right? For no apparent big catalyst, it just decided to go. Fascinating, right? Something could be up out there. It's either crypto week, because again, who's going to be short, bearish, hedged, not long into crypto week? If he puts the tariffs to work in a sovereign wealth fund that buys Bitcoin, bang, somebody's buying a rumor and may sell the fact at the end of crypto week. We don't know. But right now, it looks like Bitcoin wants to head to 120. They may be afraid of 120. They were afraid of 100K. But who knows if they got the bravery to do it. Now, let's talk about Saturn. Saturn makes a big move tomorrow. It changes the way it looks in a telescope. If you've ever heard of Mercury in retrograde, it's Saturn in retrograde. And sometimes this can produce trend changes. So the trend in Bitcoin has been what? Up, 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 up. That's it. What's been the trend in altcoins? Down, 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 down. Followed by go nowhere. Go nowhere. So again, if you're just joining us, you want to find out if altcoin trends reverse, what coins you want to be in. Where do you want to be? XRP was up 10% this week. So what? XRP rallied 400% from 55 cents to $3, and XRP could be worth $1 trillion. Right? If Bitcoin could go to like 300,000 or 13 million, no one really talks about what the other cryptos could do. Nobody. What can the other cryptos do? Well, they can go up a lot, particularly if since for crypto week, American cryptos get favorable tax treatment. Like you can buy, Cardano, buy something with Cardano or XRP and not have to pay capital gains taxes on the crypto that you sell or use to pay for something. Hello, right? These things or talk of these things. Even the orange man coming out and saying crypto is a growth industry. We got a debt problem. We need grow in Web3. We got to get there before the Chinese get there. So can you imagine what that does to XRP, Cardano, Hedera, right? Cardano was up 10%, I think, before XRP was up 10%. Because what rallies first? The stuff no one likes. Nobody is ready for a renaissance of the American-made crypto trade, which if you go back 6 months, which might as well be an eternity for people, everybody was doing the made in America crypto trade. Now, it's like you talk to somebody about it before crypto week, with the administration having an optics crisis, everyone goes, yeah, I don't know. But even with the market down, right? In other words, here's a payoff for you if you've been listening. What do you do when altcoins go up, when Bitcoin goes crazy, and then the market kind of slows down? All right, well, over the last 6 months, every time altcoins put two up days together, it winds up, reversing and going back down again. So naturally, everyone's afraid of that. And naturally, I want to do exactly the opposite of what everyone's afraid of. So if everyone's afraid because altcoins went up, I want to go do some research, right? And what comes out of research? Well, DePin, right? Cash comes out. And of course, we can't forget big boy Solana. I absolutely cannot believe Solana is sitting at 160. It might as well be unchanged. It is unchanged for like the last year and a half. So what happens when that Solana ETF picks up and you have the type of move in Bitcoin that you have in Solana? You had it in Bitcoin, then you had it in XRP. Then what happens if that floods over into ETH, Solana, and, you ready? Avalanche, right? Another layer one, which is also happens to be on the books of World Liberty. World Liberty could be making announcements next week during Crypto Week. You don't know. They must change the subject. They must. Okay, now, ETH can rally alongside Bitcoin and Solana. The trading range for Solana probably is 155 to 165. And if there is a pullback in Bitcoin, it's probably 115 or 116 before they turn around and rotate it back to 120. Now, again, let's talk about this Saturn in retrograde process. Basically, when big planets move, you can have a lot of volatility. Volatility in the equities world is code for going down. In crypto, volatility could mean sort of like what my colleague calls movement in buckets, meaning the crypto market or altcoins don't necessarily all go up at once all the time. You know, there'll be a rally in the American-made cryptos, and then that'll flip over into DePin. And then somebody will make a big announcement like BlackRock for real-world assets. And DeFi has been flying. Uniswap, Aave, again, up, 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 because banks have to get in. They don't want to get in. They have to get in because the orange man is not happy about him, his wife, his family, and other people being debanked because the current political environment wasn't going their way. All right, let's welcome who's here. We have Eric from the far north. We have Crypto Week will be a big sell the news event. Will it be? Okay, well, it is if it goes parabolic into Crypto Week. Right now, all we've had is like a rally. But if there's a news event or something positive comes up and the crypto market does not go higher, that could be sell the fact. What I think can happen is you can have volatility. I think a lot of people are looking to sell. A lot of altcoins that were depressed had like big 10, 15% rally. And a lot of times retail sells the first uptick. It's like, oh, finally this went up so I can get out. Okay, if people do that and the coin comes back down, whether it's that day or the next day, and it doesn't go lower. In other words, if it rallies and comes back down and holds, then it's going to turn around and go higher. And again, this whole Saturn thing is about trend reversals. Now, of course, it's subjective, right? Is it a reversal of the last 3 days or is it a reversal of the last 6 months? I think it's a reversal of the last 6 months. I think Bitcoin dominance, even though Bitcoin has been beyond amazing and unbelievable, right? No one wants to get in front of that freight train, but that rising tide can lift all boats, right? TNT Saver is here. Welcome, sir. King, your number one fan since January of 2021. Sir, I appreciate your support. Sue Young said hello. Oh my God, Big Rich in this house with those YouTube member emojis. Lord Gupta, Nola Fan 1, hit the like button. That's right, we're trying to get to 200 likes on the stream. I would love to have 100 people, so hit on Twitter, retweet the notification, call your friends. Welcome to the show. All right, Crypto Scam 1. Y'all haven't been sleeping on PENGU. I have been screaming in discourse. Coinbase even put up pudgy penguins as their profile picture. Mohammed coming in from the Middle East. Welcome, sir. Stay safe. Listen, when it comes down to memes, speculation has been dramatically suppressed. I still have altcoins, right? So it's going to be really interesting for the Saturn breakout. Now, here's my plan. Let them shake everybody out. Seriously, let them shake the tree a little. If it goes up only, or let me say it this way, if it goes straight up Like if it goes 10% up every day, that can be bearish because that can get unwound. But if it goes what I call up only, which is like up, sit, make everybody worry, and then up again, and then wobble, right? And then sit, and then go. Right? In other words, you don't get the dips that you might want. You got the dip already. It's called the last 6 months. Oh my God, Bull Runner is here. Welcome, sir. King. Right? The audio is bad. All right, maybe I can hold the mic closer. The audio is bad. All right. All right, folks. Well, we're actually going to wrap it up there. I don't want bad audio. We will see you. We appreciate everything from going in. Maybe it's the connection. All right. Well, we got Ricky says bad audio. All right, folks. We'll wrap it up here. I don't want to sit and talk with bad audio. We will see you next time.